Do you sense a genuine diplomatic breakthrough coming anytime soon on the Iran file?
Yeah, so I mean, look, what we have to sort of admit and hold our horses a little bit is that it's still very early days, right? But having said that, I think things went as well as they possibly could have. As you said, the readouts after the meetings were all positive, especially on the Iranian side. You're hearing a lot of positive noises, even in the days that followed. We're in a good place, and I think whereas many were worried what a Trump presidency would mean for the U.S.-Iran tensions, I think his character and the way he goes about doing things, it might actually be beneficial here. Ultimately, I think the key to these negotiations was always going to be around what the U.S. demands were towards Iran. That is, this distinction between, is the U.S. looking to completely dismantle the Iranian nuclear program, or is it purely a matter of just making sure that there is verification to make sure there's no weaponization of this program? Initially, for the last few weeks in particular, we were hearing mixed signals here, mixed messages from different officials in that administration. But I think Donald Trump has been very clear over the last two, three weeks in particular, no weaponization. So weaponization is that red line. The Iranians can work with that. They've always claimed and said that we are not after nuclear weapons. So this was a good starting point. I think having Steve Witkoff lead that file is also positive for the for these discussions. So as a first step, really, really positive. The fact that we actually saw them agree to meet again, very positive. We're going to have to wait and see how things go. But I think one also key element here is regional buy-in. In the last 2 days, you've seen Iran, the regional countries, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman. Oman was obviously mediating, but the UAE in particular, these countries have come out and welcomed the discussion. This is not something we saw 10 years ago in the run-up to the JCPOA. That's critical. Yesterday as well, the Iranians were in discussions and basically had several calls with these regional countries to update them on how things are going. The fact that you have this regional buy-in is going to bode very, very well for things going forward. There are a lot of potential pitfalls, that we have to be worried about, but early signs are very good.
Absolutely. The regional buy-in is really critical, Nader, and it's right that you raised that. Just with regards to Iranian oil, of course, this is the prize for the Iranians. They would like to see their barrels coming back to the market in a more formal way. If we did see a US-Iran deal, how soon before Iran could actually resume formal exports and bring that shadow trade back into the mainstream?
Right. So the key word that you said here was formal, because I think over the last couple of years, Iran has been managing to increase its exports to a fairly respectable level. I think we're talking above 1.5 million barrels per day. Is it below what they were doing before the sanctions were imposed? That's like what, 2.4 million barrels per day at its peak? Yes, it's much lower. So essentially, I think if we're looking at an initial interim deal, I don't think we necessarily see something in the interim as a addition to oil markets, purely because Iran's already been producing a significant amount. We just might see some of that trade essentially come above the table. I think when we're looking at a more comprehensive deal, something more concrete, that's when we should possibly see, inching back up to, above 2 million barrels per day. I think realistically, if Iran was given the opportunity to do that, I think we're looking at approximately, 6 to 9 months, gradual ramp up. But like I said, I think primarily right now we're looking at an initial interim deal over the next 2-3 months. So Donald Trump came with this 2-month deadline. Once we see that, then there's going to be a longer period here of discussions to get us something more concrete. Only then can we realistically see significantly more barrels from Iran. So I think it's still some way down the line.